Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a new video. So you guys are probably wondering what is going on? Why are you messing with the seats? Well, back in the summer, I installed some Recaro pole positions in the car. Absolutely love them. This has the Pepita inserts, look phenomenal, feel phenomenal, and I've been very, very happy with them. Although the one thing that I haven't been happy with are the floor mounts. These are the Mach Chanel Club Sport floor mounts. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a really nice package. It comes with everything. You get the side mounts, you get the rails, and you get the floor mounts. Really, really nice to be able to just kind of bolt it up and you can slide the seat back and forth. It's not bolted directly to the ground. It's a pretty simple solution that I really do like. However, I've been having some issues with the actual floor mounts. Well, first, I actually had an issue with the slider. So I already replaced the slider. I got a new one. These are like 140 bucks, which I wasn't happy with, but hey, it is what it is. So I ended up replacing the slider. The slider works. What was actually happening was the old one that I had on here was binding against a piece of the floor mount, which I'll show you in a little bit, and it was causing the slider to not work. Well, it would work, but it was really, really hard to move the seat, and it kind of completely removed the whole functionality of why I put sliders on the actual seat, to be able to move it back and forth, you know, for whoever is driving, which is no one, but to be able to slide it back and forth and get the right driving position. And also safety, you want to make sure your seat is locked in properly. And I just never was 100% on it, and I felt that it wasn't perfect. So I replaced the slider. It's the same one, Mach Chanel. Not the easiest job, especially doing it in the car. I don't want to say I made the mistake, but I decided to leave it in the car, the seat in the car, and do it in here. Pain in the butt. But ended up doing that, and now the slider works, so we're good. But what I found out was that there's a piece on the actual mount that is causing the slider to get bound up. In doing so, in order to position the slider in the right spot for it to work, it's kind of hard to tell on camera, but my positioning is a little bit left of the steering wheel. Now, it is ever so slight. Honestly, I don't think anybody would notice, but obviously I do because it's my car and I'm very, very picky about this stuff. Especially aftermarket seats, I want to make sure that I'm in the right driving position and also for safety as well, to make sure I'm in the right spot and everything. So on the side here, I have about, I don't know, 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches of room to move it over. Now, yeah, that's great. Why don't we just move it over a little bit? However, I can't do that with the Mach Chanel floor mounts because if I move it over a little bit more, there's actually a piece of the mount down here, which again, I'll show you in a little bit, that is actually prohibiting the slider to work. So if I move it over one more notch, the slider doesn't work. So instead of accepting it and just saying, hey, this is the position of the seat, I'm taking it one step further and I'm trying a different floor mount. So what I ended up doing was picking up one of these. This is a planted floor mount. I actually ran these in my STI with the Recaros Sportsters. I love these mounts. They're super simple, very, very robust, really thick, and I was really happy with it. In the STI, I mounted the seats up to here, never had to touch them again. They were in the right spot. They got the job done and it worked really well. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get another one and see if it solves the problem. And already I can tell this is going to be a better solution. I can easily tell that the notches and the different areas where you can put the seat is definitely over a little bit more. And also right here, this is for the seatbelt mount. You can mount your seatbelt right up to here. And that was the issue on the Mach Chanel one, which again, I'll show you once I take it out. I'll show side-by-side comparison, but the slider essentially is right here. And the other mount on the Mach Chanel one was a little bit too far over, so it would not be able to slide. This one is bent out, so we definitely have more room for the slider and to be able to get the seat all the way to this side of the bracket. So what we're gonna end up doing is taking out the driver's seat fully and replacing the floor mount. Not the funnest job in the world. There's just so many nuts and bolts and everything. It took me almost 3 hours to replace that rail the other night. Trust me, I know it's a pretty simple job, but to be able to do it in the car without taking out the seat and unplugging everything and just worrying about all the lights that I had coated out and everything, I just was being really cautious. It was not fun. Trust me, I was over it within 45 minutes, but I had to get the seat back in and mount it up. And sure enough, it still wasn't where I wanted the seat positioned after all that work. So I'm gonna go ahead, get this seat out of the car totally. I'm not gonna do it in the car again. I'm gonna unplug everything. Thankfully, I have the data vent display to clear the belt tensioner on the driver's side because I'm going to unplug it and we should be good. But let me go ahead and get this seat out and I'll show you what this one looks like and kind of what the issue was, and then ultimately installing the planted one and the overall solution. So I don't have one for the passenger side yet. I only bought it for the driver's side. The passenger side is fine. I don't really have to, it's actually pretty darn centered. It's fine with the Mach-Chanel one, so I might not even get the planted one for this side or for the passenger side. We will see. We'll see if it bothers me. I probably will end up, but that side's totally fine. It slides perfectly, no issues whatsoever. Again, there's no steering wheel or anything, so you don't feel like you're not positioned centrally. It's perfect. It's fine. So I'll probably just leave it that one alone. We'll see. But let me go ahead, get this seat out, get everything out safely, and then I'll show you what's going on. All right, so the beautiful seat is out of the car. So let me show you exactly what's going on. Now, I have it as far over as I possibly can, but for example, on this side, you can see there is a seatbelt mount that you can use here. I'm using the brackets, so it moves with the seat. If you put them here, it stays in one spot. These brackets are attached to the rails, so the seatbelt receptacle moves with the seat. If I were, same thing on this side, but as you can see, let me get you some light, the rail is already butted up against this. And if I move it over more, as you can see right here, there's no room for it to move. So I can't move it all the way over to the right, closest to the center console, because this is in the way. And that is what's causing the seat to not be centered. So if we take a look on the planted one, there is not those giant pieces that go along the whole thing. It's just this little tab that bends out, and we're good. So I'm gonna be able to use the same exact mount and everything. I'm literally gonna use the same rails, same brackets and all that in terms of the seatbelt receptacle. I'm just going to bolt everything up to this and we should be good. Yeah, so I'm kind of hoping that, but from what I can tell and how much work I put into this seat to get it in the right position and replace the rails and everything, I think we're gonna be in a better spot. So let me go ahead, get this one off, and then I'll show you side to side as well. And then we can install the new one. All right, so we got the actual floor mount off. We got the seat over here. And I'm also noticing that the planted one is about, I don't know, an inch higher. So I'm actually gonna have to bump down the side mounts here a little bit lower. So I'll do that in a little bit, but here are the differences. And this is what the issue was. These giant pieces over here for the seat belt, which are on both sides. You know, if you run harnesses and whatnot, you can clamp them into here. So it's a really nice solution, but it just didn't work for my application. So the slider was right here. And if I moved it over onto the furthest notch, which you can see it has a little bit of wiggle room as well. If I moved it all the way over here, the slider would bump into this and I wouldn't be able to move it. So just didn't work, and wasn't really happy about it. Now I will say the finish on this is nicer. It's kind of like a wrinkled black, whereas this is not. I mean, to be honest, it's not a big deal. But I am noticing that the material, the thickness of this is actually thicker on the planted. So this seems a little bit more robust overall. But as I mentioned, it is definitely about an inch or so higher. So it's not a big deal because I'm only on the second notch down. So I have all these to work with, and the ones back there as well, I have all these notches to play with. So I can definitely get it in the right position where I wanted it, but figured I'd mention that. So yeah, I think this is gonna be the solution, and let's go ahead and get this mounted up. So I'm gonna mount the seat all the way to this side, as far as I possibly can go. Gotta loosely put it in the car and position it to make sure it's right where I want it, and then we can finally bolt everything up, and we can show you the final result. So let me go ahead and get this on, and then I'll let you guys know and show you what it looks like. All right, so a little bit of an update. As you can see, the seat is back together and the planted mount is over there. Now, what I was running into was, I guess, what I thought was going to help actually cause the issue. So this seatbelt mount right here, this was actually getting directly in the way of the seatbelt on this side. So if I mounted that up, it was getting held up on this bolt here. Now I could have bolted the seatbelt right up to that mount there, but the receptacle would stay in one spot. So when you move the seat forward and back, the receptacle wouldn't move along with the seat, and that is no good. So what I ended up doing, there's actually spacers between the seat and the mount. There's these little black washers. You can kind of see them right there. So instead of putting it on the inside, I put them on the outside here. And my reasoning is that it shifted it over about, I don't know, a half an inch or so. So the whole seat is moved over this way, and then I was able to actually put the mount all the way over to the right, or as far as I possibly could, would actually shifted it maybe another half an inch. So technically, from my calculations and kind of adjusting everything, it's moved over about an inch from where it was. So that should align me in a much better spot than where I was. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this back in the car and see where it's sitting. There's also a little bit of adjustment on the mounts back here that go to the floor. So as you can see, it's kind of slotted. So I can move it over as close to the center console as I possibly can, which should get me back in the right spot. So I unfortunately don't think that's gonna work. You know, that was like 215 bucks shipped to me and it came in a day. So I'm gonna see if I can return that, or I don't know, I'm not sure yet, but let me go ahead and get this back in the car and see where things kind of sit. So hopefully all those little adjustments that I just made moved it over enough to be able to get much more centered on the steering wheel. So let me throw this back in the car and I'll let you know what I think. All right, guys, I got the seat back in, got everything situated, and I am very, very happy. Now, granted, the planted mount didn't come to use. I'm going to see if I can try to return that, or if anybody wants it, I'll give you a good deal on it. It's literally brand new. Didn't even bolt it up. Held it up to the actual seat, didn't even bolt anything, and I'm gonna pack it back up in the box. So if anybody wants it, let me know. I'm gonna reach out to Planted and see if they'll take a return. It got to me in a day, so they're fairly close to me, so we'll see. But it's gonna be really hard to show you, but as you can see, I can't even get past my knuckle here. For instance, here's the passenger. I can slip my entire hand from the console to the actual seat. Now, granted, I do have this one over one notch. This is actually centered with the dash, so I don't know if I'm gonna bother with this, although maybe one day I'll take it out and move it over one just to kind of make things unison, but definitely moved over, I would say even a little bit over an inch, to be completely honest. Now I am perfectly centered with the actual steering wheel. Before I was kind of over here. Now I'm right here. So gonna be hard to see, but the center of the steering wheel is in the center of me. And let's show you the slider. Everything's working perfectly, nice and smooth. So no issues with that. Before, I wasn't able to do that at all. I was stuck in that position and I would have to like shake the entire car and the entire seat to get it to move one notch. But this, one hand, slide all the way back. Actually, I can even go back any further. So some really, really tall, like 7-foot dude can drive this car. I'm basically in the back seat. And then just slide it up. Super easy and really nice. So I have to get my seating position right again because I was messing with it obviously, but I think that seems to be right where I normally drive. And my steering wheel position, I like to have it all the way out towards me and then bumped up a little bit. So my eyes are looking directly at the top of the steering wheel, and yeah, it's pretty perfect. Now, when I did start the car, I already did it, but the driver restraint light came on, and all I do is go in here, look at the codes, hit the little basket to delete them, and we're good to go. So thankfully I don't have to go and do any more coding or anything with Alpine like I did when I first got the seats in, and had to code out the airbag warning lights and stuff. So I'm actually happy I was able to keep the Mach Chanel ones. Honestly, as I mentioned, I like the looks of it, and plus they are a little bit lower, so I don't have to mess with the overall height of the seat and all that. So yeah, it is what it is. It's trial and error, and sometimes you just got to take the seat out 15 times to get it right, especially when you're putting some aftermarket stuff into a car like this. So I am super, super happy. I'm glad I took the time to get this sorted out. Now I finally feel like I can enjoy these seats because I can slide them, move them back and forth whenever I need to. And I feel like I'm finally in the right position. So yeah, that is gonna do it for that one. Honestly, looking back on it, it doesn't look like we did much, but I figured I would at least explain it for anybody that is running into a similar issue. Can't get yourself centered or in the right spot. My suggestion is to take the entire seat out of the car, kind of unbolt everything, keep everything loose, and then see where it falls. Don't push anything into place or force anything in a certain area, because that way it's going to torque everything and make it all awkward and not sitting right. And I feel like that was part of my problem as well. So unbolting everything, getting it all situated properly, and then rebolting it up. And also the spacers, I took them out and put them on the other side, so it definitely moved the seat over a tad as well. So yeah, that is going to do it for this one. I'm really happy that it is solved and I can move on finally and enjoy the seats. I'm going to drive this car tomorrow. I have been driving it all week, but I will say it has been a pretty annoying driving in these seats with them shifted over too much. So now that I got that solved, the slider is working. I'm very happy. So we're going to end it here. If you guys have any questions at all about the seats, the car, or anything else, please leave them in the comments below. But in the meantime, keep it clean, keep it simple, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.